Welcome to Creator Weekly for February 22nd, 2026. I'm Peggy K. And this week there are updates for YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Search Console, Threads, LinkedIn, Snapseed, a bunch more. So let's get into it. And I want to start with a few smaller YouTube updates. First of all, YouTube Shorts Editor is getting big improvements in the way you can edit clips to assemble together into your short. You can edit individual clips in context with other elements like audio or visual overlays. You can make precise adjustments and edits to the timing of each clip with zooming and snapping, rearranging or deleting clips to create a rough cut. And on Android, you can split videos into segments for editing. So this is a nice update if you use the YouTube Shorts editor. This should make it nicer to assemble clips into a video. So give that a check out if you can. And also related to Shorts, in the YouTube Studio mobile app, your shorts will be displayed as a grid rather than as a list. You can switch back to the list if you want. This is the screenshot from the Creator Insider announcement of this. I checked, I don't have this in the app yet. And it's kind of a weird screenshot because they actually showed landscape videos as the before and shorts videos as the after. You know, right now, if I look at the shorts, it shows them, it's kind of like a little landscape area with the vertical video on the inside. But anyway, it's going to switch over so that you can see them as a grid. You can see better what your videos are. So if you're in Canada, YouTube is expanding GIFs powered by Jules to Canada. Previously, it was US only. The idea is if you're doing vertical live streams, you can enable this and people watching can then give you a little digital gift. They pay actual money to purchase jewels, and jewels are used to purchase the gifts. And then you get rubies along with that. So this is a monetization feature and it's supposed to be engaging. So now available to Canadian creators. And YouTube is testing their conversational AI chatbot on smart TVs. This would also be for gaming consoles and streaming devices, I assume, like Google TV, Chromecast kind of things. So the idea is that you use your TV remote and you can either select a preset question about a video or you can use the microphone on the remote to ask a question. Currently, this is just available to a small group of users, but they're going to expand this more widely. So if you watch YouTube on TV, keep your eye out and see if this is available. I don't know how good this AI chatbot thing is, but it's the way of the world that AI chatbots are everywhere. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Lyria. Lyria is Google's generative music model. The latest version is Lyria 3. And it can now generate both music and lyrics. And in Gemini, you can start with a text prompt describing the genre, or you can prompt it with a photo or video or something else. And then it will output a 30-second music track with cover art generated by Nano Banana. And Lyria 3 is also what powers Dream Track in the YouTube Shorts editor. Dream Track is available to creators almost globally, but not in the European Economic Area. So the idea is in the Shorts editor, you can have it generate music to go along with your video. No copyright issues, there shouldn't be. I just wanted to take a second and show you. I played with this. If you go into Gemini and select the option to create music, you can see that there are some genre samples that it will remix for you if you want, but you can just describe what you want. And then you can click the little plus button to add files to your prompt. So you can add an image, you can add a video, or you can add something from Google Drive. I decided to give that a little test, and I did the prompt with the slide deck for this week's show. It was in draft form when I did this, but I added the slide deck from Google Slides, and I said, make it an upbeat, danceable pop punk tune that covers the top creator updates for this week. And sure enough, it did. I'm going to play this for you guys. You'll have to let me know if you can hear the music properly.
Peg K with your Creator Weekly News. YouTube digital GIFs are now in Canada. Shorts grid view on the mobile app. And Apple Podcasts are getting video now! Snapchat creator subscriptions are in alpha. LinkedIn bans bots and automated replies. Restream does landscape and portrait at once. Mastodon added a new help center! Yeah!
So that's what it generated. It's not going to win any awards, that's for sure. But it's an AI toy if that's your kind of thing. I'm not sure what I did just now. So you guys will have to share if you make any songs. And it's kind of interesting that you can use your various files as prompts, or you can use an image, if you want to set the mood, you can add a video clip, anything like that. So while we're on AI tools, there's also just a brief update for NotebookLM. If you use it to create a slide deck, if you use NotebookLM to create a slide deck, you can now make prompt-based revisions. So the idea is you can change the image, remove the text box, prompt whatever changes you want to slides. So this is useful because previously there was no good way to change the slides that it generated. I do wish NotebookLM slides were not generated images. I wish they were actual Google Slides files that could be edited, which is a lot easier than trying to get prompts to show you the right thing sometimes, but maybe that will be in the future, but this is an improvement. So another neat update, if you use Restream for live streaming, like I do, they now let you stream in landscape and portrait simultaneously. So you can either live stream in landscape to one platform like YouTube, and at the same time, you could do a vertical stream to TikTok or Instagram, or you can do vertical and landscape at the same time to YouTube. This is the dual live streaming that YouTube launched at the end of last year. So I'm planning to play with this. Should be interesting. They don't let you edit the layout of the vertical stream. It's set by whatever the landscape layout is, but that should be updated. I'll note that this is a YouTube feature. If you use StreamYard, I think they also have this feature. Or if you use OBS, you can do that as well. So I wanted to shift gears, and one of the big announcements this week was from Apple. Apple Podcasts will soon include videos. This is not a new thing. Of course, YouTube has podcasts with videos, Spotify has podcasts with videos, and so forth. But this is the first time for Apple Podcasts. The idea is that listeners can switch between watching and listening really easily. And if you're a creator, you distribute your video through participating host providers and ad networks. They also have an option for creators to dynamically insert ads into the videos, which is important. People are monetizing their podcasts. So this is, of course, a huge change. I think it's probably good because moving to video is the way things are happening. It is kind of amusing. If you read Apple's press release, there's no acknowledgement that there may be a little bit behind other platforms on this. It makes it sound like they invented it. But that's the nature of press releases. And I also wanted to mention something that's a little bit of a blast from the past. If you use Snapseed, that's a free professional level photo editing app owned by Google since 2012. They have added a camera. The idea is you use the Snapseed camera and you can choose what kind of film it emulates. If you're a professional photographer or serious hobbyist, you know that like Fujifilm and Kodak film, they have different temperatures, different looks, and this emulates that. Now you can take these photos and then it's not set like that. You can fine-tune the image and edit it. This is currently available in the latest version of the iOS Snapseed app. It is not available for the Android version, at least not yet. That hasn't been updated since 2024. But Snapseed is not forgotten totally by Google. They are adding new features. So that is interesting. And I'll note that Snapseed, you don't hear people talking about it, but it is a really nice photo editing app and currently totally free. Over on Snapchat, they have a big update. They are launching paid creator subscriptions. This is similar to things like YouTube memberships, and the creator can then share with fans exclusive content, priority replies to a creator's public stories, and an ad-free experience. Nothing's really shocking there if you're used to sort of fan funding, but it's new for Snapchat. They're launching this in alpha this coming week, and it will start with a small group of creators and then expand. I'm not a Snapchat user myself, but I know it's still popular, especially amongst the young people, right? That makes me sound really old, but here we go. And then I wanted to mention an interesting process that's happening over on LinkedIn. Now, if you use LinkedIn, you know there's a lot of sort of automated looking stuff there. Some of it is just, bad AI writing people post. But if you go into the comments, a lot of times you go into the comments section and it looks really not like a natural conversation. So one of the things LinkedIn has been working on is breaking up what they call these engagement pods. This is people who get together, and the idea is that if you're in this pod, you comment on everyone else's posts and they comment on your posts. You can make it sound like mutual aid, but it's really pretty artificial. And a lot of times, people who are involved in these, they're not adding high quality comments. It's just something really basic. So this week, The Vice President of Product Management, Gyanda Sachdeva, made an announcement that LinkedIn is really cracking down on low-quality automated contents. This is defined as comments submitted to LinkedIn via a browser extension, script, or third-party tool without human action involved in clicking the comment button. How they detect this isn't entirely clear, but I think when something is a low-quality comment, you can probably tell. So the idea is that if they detect these low-quality automated contents, they will no longer show in the most relevant content section of a post, and it could be removed from outside the commenter's network. And if this commenter is doing it a lot, they may actually have their ability to use LinkedIn restricted. So that is an interesting path that LinkedIn is taking. Low quality, spammy, automated comments are a problem on every platform. Whether this will actually work to reduce them on LinkedIn isn't clear, especially if they're using engagement as one of the metrics that ranks posts in the For You feed. That's an incentive for people to purchase comments. But they say they're working on it. I want to just take a moment and say hi to everybody who is in the live chat. I see Priya and Jolyn and Andrew and Craig. And thank you so much for joining me today and being in the chat. I love to hear what you guys think about the various updates that are announced, because a lot of times something doesn't sound that exciting to me. Maybe it is exciting, though, if you know more about it. Also, I want to give a plug to my newsletter. You can read this week's newsletter post. There's a link in the description, or you can subscribe to the newsletter to get it in your email inbox every Saturday. So check that out. Then I wanted to mention a small update on Threads. Threads is Meta's Twitter equivalent platform. They have made it easier to share a post to an Instagram story from Threads. You know, since it's Meta and Instagram, it's all connected. You can have your accounts. I think you can have separate accounts now, but if you have your Instagram and Threads account as the same account, you can easily just share a Threads post to an Instagram story. Over on Mastodon, there have been several announcements. Now, you guys probably know I'm a fan of at least the idea of federated social media, the idea being that you just have one social media profile, and then people on their own favorite platform can see those posts and respond to them. So for example, I have federation enabled on my Threads account, and people in the Fediverse, for example, on Mastodon, can follow me on Threads. They can comment on the posts and reshare and everything like that. So Mastodon did make some announcements. Mastodon.social, that's one of the default Mastodon servers if you're just signing up. They finally added a help center. Yes, it's kind of surprising they didn't have anything like that before, but that's part of the problem with Mastodon. It's a bunch of separate servers kind of just cobbled together, and it takes work to actually maintain a help center. So this is a nice step. And then Mastodon has plans to improve server discovery, especially small independent servers, and improve the onboarding process. They have plans to implement a redesigned profile for creators and journalists, and it just makes it a friendlier landing page. And they're going to implement an option for organizations to offer updates by email. So their goal is building a social web that puts people first. It's nice to see that they're having updates. If you're on Blue Sky, you can actually also federate with ActivityPub platforms like Mastodon using something like BridgieFed, which is sort of an intermediary. Anyway, I really like the idea a lot. It's not clear to me it's going to be well implemented. Like I said, I have my Threads account federated, but Meta has kind of stopped posting updates on how they're doing that, in part because there's negativity on Mastodon about actually federating with Threads since it is Meta, but maybe it's just not a priority for them anymore. So interesting times. I'd love to see it work. And then I wanted to switch gears just a little bit. If you have your own website or blog and you're using Google Search Console, which you should be using to know how your site is doing in Google Search, the AI-powered configuration chatbot is now available to everyone. This was announced in December. And the idea is this chatbot lets you describe the analysis you want to do in natural language. And the AI tool then helps by applying filters, configuring the comparisons, selecting which metrics are important to look at. It sounds like a useful tool because there are a lot of metrics you can look at. It can be confusing, and it's worth checking this out if you have this in your account. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today is Google I/O. This is Google's annual big conference where they make announcements, mostly about Android, but also about their direction for the coming year, various other tools, lots of AI announcements, I'm sure. It is free to register, and like most years, they have a sort of puzzle games you can do. You don't win any serious prizes by doing them, but I did actually end up spending more time than I was planning to playing the little digital games. So check it out. So you can register for Google I/O. That will get you at least the ability to make a schedule of the sessions you're interested in, and you can watch. Otherwise, if you don't register, you can always watch the keynotes on YouTube. It's a big deal, so everyone can do it. So those are the updates for this week. I'm being a little bit shorter this week than usual because after this, there is the On eBoard live stream, and Priya is going to be the special guest. We're going to be talking about Google Calendar. It's going to be a great session, and I am going to be the host of that, so I've got to go set up a little bit. I hope you guys join me. There'll be a redirect after I end the live stream here. So thank you all for joining me today. I hope you can join me again next Sunday, and I will see you next week.